So warm greetings from the Fulbright Finland Foundation and welcome to the Fulbright Specialist Program Q&A session for aspiring hosts. The Fulbright Finland Foundation is an independent, private, not-for-profit foundation which supports the internationalization of education and research in Finland and helps Finnish and US institutions create linkages. The foundation provides advising, training, and information services for students, researchers, and working professionals. We offer altogether over 50 grant programs for research, lecturing, partnership building, as well as for professional development, and these grants are offered for all disciplines and professional fields. While we are here to talk about how your institution could benefit from the Fulbright Specialist Program, we also encourage you to explore the other grant programs that you or your colleague could take advantage of. For instance, the application period is now open for Finnish scholars and professionals to conduct research or to pursue a professional project in the US during the academic year 2021-22. As most of you already know, Fulbright grantees are cultural ambassadors and future change makers whose projects have potential for a large impact while building bridges between US and Finland. This also applies to the Fulbright specialists.
Thank you, Heidi. The Fulbright Specialist Program is part of the global Fulbright program that provides opportunities for diverse institutions around the world to host a highly experienced American academic or professional to exchange knowledge, build host institution capacity, and promote long-lasting international collaboration. It is administered by the Fulbright Finland Foundation here in Finland and by the World Learning Organization in the US. It's completely a field-driven initiative in which host institutions design a short-term 2 to 6 week project that addresses a specific need or priority at their respective organization. And there's a lot of flexibility in designing projects as long as they have some kind of education or training focus and concrete objectives that can be achieved over the course of the specialist's brief visit. And while there are 6 priority areas listed for the current application round on our Fulbright Specialist Program website, there are over 20 eligible disciplines within the program. The Fulbright Specialist Program is a cost-share program. The World Learning Organization arranges and administers specialists' return flights from US to Finland, a travel allowance, and a daily honorarium of $200 for each day of the program. Host institutions are responsible for arranging and paying for housing, in-country transportation, airport pickups and drop-offs, as well as meals. And the meals actually means that the hosts have to arrange and pay for the 3 meals a day, weekends included. And at the minimum, the budgeted allowance for meals per day should be the Finnish government per diem rate, which is currently 43 euros per day. And Finnish institutions have the opportunity to submit an application for a specialist who's already included in the Fulbright Specialist roster that the World Learning Organization manages. Or they can submit an open application and have the World Learning match a specialist with the right expertise for the proposed project. US scholars and professionals who wish to serve as Fulbright specialists need to submit their application to the World Learning Organization that coordinates the peer review process for the interested experts. And you can learn more about the process from the World Learning Organization website. If the host institution wants to invite an expert who's not yet in the roster, the expert should submit application for the roster by January 13th. Peer review panels evaluate applications to join the Fulbright Specialist Program approximately every 8 weeks. So if you submit an application for a specialist who is not yet included in the roster, we encourage you to make a note about the date when the expert submitted their application for the roster, or when they find out about the acceptance to the roster. And if applicable, we also recommend noting that your institution will consider other Fulbright specialists with the relevant expertise in the event that the expert requested is not approved for the roster. And applications are now accepted for projects that are planned to take place between May 2021 and September 2022. But depending on the COVID-19 situation, more flexibility may become available with the timing of the project. And the deadline for Finnish institutions to apply for the program is December 14th. So make a note of that. And I'll be answering questions about the application process and program administration during the Q&A session. So without further ado, I'll give the floor to the true experts of the Fulbright Specialist Program. And the first speaker will be Marina Wikman, Senior Lecturer and International Coordinator from Satakunta University of Applied Sciences. And she coordinated a Fulbright Specialist project in 2017 with John Donnellan, Associate Professor from the New Jersey City University. And as you can see in this photo, John made some friends in high places during his stay. The mic is yours, Marina.
Thank you very much, Mirka. And you had a very nice picture there. So yes, I remember he was very proud of having met the Finnish president. Okay, so hello everybody. My name is Marina Wikman and I work as a senior lecturer and international coordinator. So I have two roles at Satakunta University of Applied Sciences, and my faculty is logistics and maritime technology. You will see that later on why that is important. So if you don't know, Satakunta University is quite small, and we have approximately 6,000 students, but we are also regional applied sciences, which means we operate in 4 towns on the west coast of Finland. You can change the slide. So we had John Donnellan in Finland 2017. And what I'm going to do here is I tell about our experience, so kind of a story that we had, and then try to show you why it's really worthwhile. And how it all started, it was really a chance meeting in China. So we were visiting the same university there and started talking and realized that we have the same interests, and especially logistics, business logistics. For them especially, we have both technical and business logistics. So we realized that maybe there is something that we could do together. And of course, I mean, just a short visit in China didn't really cover everything. So we started exploring further what exactly we could do together. So that was a lot of Skyping and exchanging emails. And then because Dr. Donnellan is actually, he is very familiar with Fulbright. So he said, why not apply for a specialist position for him, because then we could actually sit down face to face and talk about things. And of course that makes sense. Even if we are very much online nowadays, it still is better if you actually meet people. And then, okay, we started filling in the application. I didn't know anything about that. And I don't know about you guys, but who likes filling in forms? Nobody. It's always like, what shall I write in here and how is this? But in the end, I want to turn it to positive, because when you answer all the questions that are there in the form, then you actually plan in more detail than just saying, hey, we want to have a specialist. But it's really considering thoroughly, what do we want? Why do we want that person to come? Not just like nice to have someone. So that is actually very helpful in the end, even if it takes some thinking and consideration. And also the practicalities that were already mentioned here earlier, that where does the person stay? How can we arrange the meals? And how much will that cost for us? Because it's also important to check with the university that they actually are willing to pay for that. Because even if Fulbright is paying for most of it, still there are costs for us as well. So that is also covered and considered, budgeted. So in the end, I think the form actually is very, very helpful. So we applied and we got him to Finland. Okay, we can take the next slide. And really what we did, I mean, the plan was really a project, and that was the main aim. But of course, Dr. Donnellan, he taught different student groups, not too many groups, because he was very much involved with the students who would be in the project, but a couple of other groups as well. And this is kind of, I think, the normal thing. So you expect that there's a visiting lecturer, and they give lectures, and this happened. Okay, so why not disseminate? So he was there, an expert on US business. So we actually had him promise to talk to Rauman Yrittäjät and the local chamber of commerce as well. So there was a meeting arranged, and there were local entrepreneurs who participated, and they wanted to learn about doing business in the US. Either they had the plan to really go there or just to understand US business a bit better. So they really enjoyed this opportunity. Okay, but the main thing, that was planning the project together, and there were some teachers involved. So we really sat down several times and thought what could be done and how can we combine things and how can we mix the students. And Port of Rauma was the company that worked together with us. So it was logistics operations in the Port of Rauma and how they could be improved. So what we did is that we put the students in mixed groups. So when Dr. Donnellan went back, so his students and our students, they were put together. And Finnish students, of course, looked more into what happened in Rauma, and the American students looked at 2 ports in the US. And then they compared and tried to find ways to improve things, or at least show that this might be done in a different way as well. And that was for 1 semester, so the whole autumn semester. And in the end, they had to hand in a report that was delivered to the port. And also they had to give a presentation where, of course, part of the people were online and some were physically there in Rauma. And of course, we also wanted to give Dr. Donnellan a taste of Finland. So if you saw on the previous slide, we took him orienteering, very Finnish. We also took him to Yyteri, which is close by, which is a very, very nice beach. And then he also saw a Finnish baseball match. So having a cultural experience is also important in this exchange. What happened after that? Because that was that one project that we did, and it could have been the end of it, but it wasn't. So we actually realized that we have so many things in common. So we started negotiate an agreement, and we actually have signed a university agreement among ourselves. No students have been exchanged yet. I think COVID affected that a little bit as well, but we hope that it will happen. Then again, I think today it's not really the only point that you have when you make an agreement. It's more cooperation in different projects or joint courses or whatever. So that might be as important. And we also did another project for Laitilan virvoitusjuomatehdas. So we actually had students do a survey in the States. So why do they choose that specific brand of beer when they go to the shop? So is it price, is it taste? And of course, for Laitilan, if anyone knows that, they are very famous for their gluten-free beer. So that was also one thing. And one funny thing that happened there, we didn't even think about that. The attitude towards dealing with alcohol in the university is very different there than here. We didn't even think about that, but actually Dr. Donnellan had to apply for a permission to have students in a project where we deal with alcoholic beverages. But that was okay, and it was really just a project. Nobody was asked to taste anything. I'm sure they did, but that's another thing. Okay, maybe then the next one. Okay, so what is happening now? Because it was like 2 or 3 weeks that Dr. Donnellan stayed, and it could have been that, and it could have been the 2 projects. But we are starting a new project in January. The first thought was that it would be about COVID-19, but then at the moment we think it's too much. It's everywhere. We only talk about that. So why not have something that is just a general business topic that we can look at? Might be nicer to think about something else, but the sad situation that we are in at the moment. So we are still working on that, but we have already decided that we will start again. Then, of course, now we can't have any visiting lecturers. So we have also agreed that there will be a couple of lectures both ways in spring. So US students will get a couple of Satakunta teachers giving them a lecture on agreed topics. And the same happens the other way around as well. So we still have the taste of internationality, even if there's nobody coming in physically. And further on, we are organizing an online conference at SAMK, Supply Chain in a Digital World, so logistics again. It's on the 1st and 2nd of December. And there are 2 professors from New Jersey City University who will also give there a talk. And this is really where I think that you can gain so much more on the short visit. You have to look around, you have to network, you need to see what else we can do together. We can create so many things. So we find other people who can work together. We find other ways of establishing the relationship. So it's not just on one place, but wherever you can find things that you could do. Maybe the next one, you have to click on that now. So about the specialist program, maybe clicking on the two last ones. So it really gives you so many opportunities to work together, to internationalize your university, your department, your program, whatever it is. It's just really looking down the avenues. Where can we go from here? And I would say it's definitely worthwhile. So even if filling in forms is not really the favorite hobby, but it is worthwhile. So I really recommend you doing that. Thank you very much. That was everything I wanted to say here. And I understand that the questions will be there later. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Marina. And now I'll give the floor to Maria Airaksinen, professor from the University of Helsinki, who has actually coordinated 4 Fulbright Specialist projects and mentored new hosts. The floor is yours.
Thank you, and good afternoon to all. And it's great to see that there's so many of you who are interested in this specialist program. And I can say that it has been like some kind of turning point even in our career, and what my little unit is doing at the University of Helsinki, and how it has been also influencing for example, how medicines are used in Finland and how safe the medicine use is in Finland. So I'm a professor of social pharmacy, and I'm located at the Viki campus at the University of Helsinki, but we cooperate a lot with the Helsinki University Hospital, and especially the pharmacy unit that has been expanding. So I think it used to have maybe 100 or less pharmacists working a couple of years ago, and now it is exploding, so that I think there's now almost like 400 of them working. And it is because of Apotti, but also the international standards for medicine management, how they should be managed safely in our healthcare. We are also grateful for this kind of organization as Fulbright, facilitating this kind of cooperation, as Marina Wikman already described. I think we have quite the same kind of experiences of the impact of this program, like in short term, but also the long term. And maybe I can have the next slide, please. So it is always like by chance that maybe the best things happen in life. And that happened also for us. So how I became a Fulbright Specialist host, I ever even planned on doing anything like that. And then I was going to a conference or congress in New Orleans some years, or actually it was 2004, quite a long time ago. And I had a good friend, colleague, who was living close to Baltimore, and he had worked at the federal government of US for a long time. And he was my mentor when I had my postdoctoral training in Maryland after my PhD. And so I was a young professor here, starting my own research line and research group, and needed really desperately some kind of support for that. And our discipline that is related to social pharmacy, clinical pharmacy, pharmacoeconomics, health technology assessment on pharmaceuticals, it is pretty new in Finland, but in the States they have very long tradition. Actually, many of these disciplines have been established there for the social need. So we went with this mutual friend, to Baltimore, to this French cafeteria, and he said that, okay, we will meet one good friend who might be interested to make a Fulbright project in Helsinki. And I said, okay, let's go and see. And so that colleague was Professor Alan Lyles, who then had a folder of Fulbright information and then his CV, and he said, I would like to come to Helsinki for this project. And it took for a while before this happened, but we had a lot of planning before that. And I can say that it is important that you find that it will be this kind of shared interest to start working on the project, and what you can do together and make it a project, and then how move on from that. And so it became the first project in 2007 that was focused on pharmacoeconomics. And what happened between this first meeting and this 2007 visit was that we got a donation from the university pharmacy for a professorship in pharmacoeconomics, and it was the first in Finland. And I was so confused what to do with this professorship. And so Professor Lyles started to help, because he had specialty in this area, to define what could be the areas of that discipline in Finland and how it could be established, and research started. And so we had done this kind of preliminary work, and he became the first chair a year before. Then he actually came as a Fulbright specialist here. But yeah, it was like making this kind of networking, finding people who are working in pharmacoeconomics, and starting the curriculum in that area. And it is still going strong, I can say. And then he came again 2011, and then we were establishing a specialization training for pharmacists, like practicing pharmacists, and he has a specialty in distance learning. And so he helped us a lot to look at, to validate the contents of our curriculum, but also how we can make it happen distantly, so that people who are living, or pharmacists who are living in Lapland or any part of Finland, they can easily participate. And Professor Lyles, he used to work at the University of Baltimore at that time, but he has a long history of working at Johns Hopkins University and has his degree from there. So he made networks so that the next ones, these 2015, 2019 specialists came from Johns Hopkins Hospital and University. So Dr. Kenneth Shermock. And so actually at the moment, he is one of the key persons to count the COVID incidents in the States. But so he came here to help us to establish a medication safety research center and development center with Helsinki University Hospital Pharmacy. And so we have now established that a research center, and there's now about 10 PhD students who are like staff scientists. They are working at the hospital on medication management and medication safety in different positions, and at the same time conducting research with different wards, and this training, as it's national, so that the same kind of practices have been spreading also all other parts of Finland. And so Dr. Shermock came again last year, and this time we were working on the National Rational Pharmacotherapy Action Plan that was established by the government a year before, so that we have been working with Ministry of Health in these different projects. Actually, all of them have involved also Ministry of Health, Finnish Medicines Agency, and 2019 we organized a joint training day or seminar day with Finnish Medicines Agency on methodologies in health technology assessment. So we can go. And actually this year or last year, I've been helping my good colleague from Keusote, director of Keusote, to apply a specialist for spring 2020, and it has been approved but delayed because of COVID. Okay, let's go further. And this is maybe the most important slides I have here. So that how to become a successful host, what are my tips for you? So that, as I mentioned previously, this project planning and processing the application is the key. So that our experience is also that if possible, involve your potential specialist candidate in project planning so that you will have a shared vision of the project and its short-term and long-term outcomes. So what do you want to achieve? And that will bring the commitment, both sides, to do this project and also make it bigger than just a couple of weeks or 6 weeks that it will cover in time. And then how you schedule the project and visit, so that what is our experience is that avoid making too ambitious program and full schedule. I think first you think that how you make it successful, so that you need to have a lot of actions to prove that this is good application. But I think less is enough, I can say. And also it's good to remember that the specialist may have some work to do for his or her home organization while in Finland. And when you are planning the program, the social program is as important as professional program, I can say. It's also for these achievements professionally, very important that you will have interesting social program that is showing the taste of Finland and cultural issues here, and maybe in Estonia, like Sweden. And also it's important that you find a cozy and convenient place to stay, and so that there will be easy access by public transportation or other ways of commuting. So we can go on. If you can have the next slide, please. And then how to work with a specialist. So it's very important that you make your specialist feel as a respected part of your team, and involve them in your networks, meetings, events, also family activities. So they really appreciate that they can really see how Finns live and how they have their social life and that kind of issues. So that don't hesitate to do that. And let your specialist be active participant and contributor. And even in cooking meals for student parties, this has been very fun every year, every time, and preparing professional events or making night round in hospital ward with a local physician. We have done even that sometimes. It was very spontaneous, but it's been very fun, and also creating new ideas for our cooperation. And it's important to show appreciation, respect the specialist values, and listen what your specialist wants to learn and experience during the visit. And then it's also important that you schedule regular follow-up meetings, make a plan for future steps before your specialist will return back home, so that you know how you will continue your cooperation. And again, it can be something small things. It can be seminars, it can be some small research project, or anything that will keep you in touch, and so that your cooperation will grow to the direction that you have decided. And then it's important that you make the visit an exciting adventure for your specialist and yourself. So, and also trust your intuition, so that it won't be exhausting. It's a lot of work, but if you really make it by your heart, then so that you have your heart and mind, and so that you enjoy doing it, then it will be very rewarding also for yourself. And I have learned so much, and my family, and also my colleagues at work. So it has been really like that kind of journey that's been worth taking. And I think it will be my next, also the last slide, if I can have that. So, and what has happened during these years? It's been like 15 years, or almost, or more than 10 at least. So our Fulbright specialists have become our docents. So that's been now the way they both wanted to apply for docentships. So that is the way that they are affiliated also at the University of Helsinki in our team. And they are really, we feel all that they are part of our team. It's like becoming like a big family, and they have brought their families here. So we know also their family, and they know our families. So it has made it very nice, that kind of cooperation. And so that they all both say that they have a second home in Finland. And during these COVID times, we have heard quite often when they compare what is the COVID situation there and here, that it seems that they would like to have a lonely island in Finland at the moment, but you never know, maybe soon it will be the other way. And we have had also some exchange students from, for example, University of Florida. There's this young lady who is taking a cake. So she's from Florida. So and our Fulbright specialists have been also working with these international students. So it's been making very nice, that kind of networks, and helping them in their career in the States. And then we have had seminars. This one where we have these handsome guys, older and younger. These are like juniors and seniors, and in the middle is our son, who also earned PhD. And so these Fulbright specialists have been involved in these family events. And then we have taken also our Fulbright specialists to the road trips and these countryside trips. It's been always wonderful, and also to see how farming happens in Finland. And they always say when we go to the countryside that they thought that what is happening here in Finland, it only happens in the movies nowadays, so that it's something really special for them. So we need to trust what we have, this cultural heritage in Finland, and in a way share it with our these visitors as hosts. And so maybe this is what I would like to share and encourage you really to take advantage of this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maria, so much for sharing your experiences and your great tips. So as you've heard, we have a lot of hosting and program expertise in the Zoom. And now it's time for your questions. So you may use the raise hand function from the participants tab, and we'll give you the floor, after which you can unmute yourself, or you're also welcome to type your questions in the chat. And please ask your questions or present your comments either in Finnish or English, whatever you're comfortable. So let's see. Do we have some hands up? Any questions?
Charles, it seems if you have a question.
Yes. So in my application, I plan on having a co-host. And is that, I guess, possible? Because we would split time between Helsinki and Jyväskylä. And so that's sort of the question with that. And just be clear about that in the application? Or any suggestions for that?
Having actually co-hosts can make your application even stronger, because then, of course, it already demonstrates that the takeaways are shared with wider audience, at least between the two host institutions. In the application, consider assigning one main host and then another co-host. And then where you explain the different places where the project takes place, do specify what costs are covered by which institutions, so that you also have that clarified for yourselves before the project begins. But it's a very good idea, for sure.
So may I comment here? So that yeah, it's a good idea, but it takes a little bit more planning then, so that really make sure that also how to share the time of the specialist, and if it's, yeah, but it's a very good idea.
Yeah, we have it already kind of figured out. So, but we didn't specify, but we just wanted to be sure that A, that this is possible, and B, how much clarity or how much, I guess, information is needed. After looking at the application, I think there's easy spots for it to put that information in, but we just wanted to, I guess, ask that before we went further with it. So. Yeah,
you can definitely go forward with it. Last fall, we actually had a Fulbright specialist give dance classes and design online dance education in 3 different universities of applied sciences in Finland. And in the application, it was just very clearly specified which weeks were spent at which institution, and also who was the point of contact at each institution. And then the cost structure was also explained, how much was covered by each institution.
And Katarina, did you have a question?
Yes, thank you. Very nice presentations from Pori and from Helsinki. Plus, I'm a Pori fan because my mökki is there. But anyway, yeah, I had a question about the co-hosting also. I'm interested in, we don't have a concrete plan yet, but I'm interested in that one. So my question is, does the project have to continue in the next organization or the next host, or can it be separately planned with both hosts under the same team? Do you understand my question?
May I answer from our experience, just like
Yes.
sharing experience, and what would be my recommendation? So that usually we think that 6 weeks is a long time, and we can make a lot of things. But so I would recommend, if you have 6 weeks like project plan that in a way combine your interest so that it will be one project that there will be contributions from both organizations or co-hosts. I think that would be easier because it always takes a little bit time when the specialist comes here, so that before you can get really started, and then if you have some activities planned, if it's like training or lectures or courses or whatever, it always takes more time to prepare and recover or whatever is, so that that's at least my experience. And Professor Lies, who was the first one, and the first time we had very tight schedule for him. And he's always joking that maybe he is the Fulbright specialist who has done most, nobody has done so much work for his period, not in a bad way, but just joking. So that easily we maybe add the full schedule too much, so that so it would be better if it's like a one project that has different nuances.
Right.
That would be my recommendation. But I don't know, Marina, for example, what is your experience?
Yeah, we don't really have experience of co-hosting, but honestly, I mean, really focusing on two things at the same time might be quite hard. So I wouldn't recommend, at least not two completely separate ones. At least the direction in my mind should be similar, and maybe really just focusing on one. That would be my.
Thank you. And does there have to be a project, or can the specialist be invited only for lecturing?
The specialist,
yeah.
The specialist can be invited to lecture. The training or education component is pretty much the only mandatory part, that there has to be some kind of training or education component. So you have fairly free hands to design it.
And maybe if I can say something about that, I mean, even if I was saying that we had a project and we continue with projects, but it's also the opportunity to get to know each other and find other ways to do things, or further ways to expand the cooperation. So even if the first meeting kind of would be basic teaching and lecturing and learning about that, but then that gives you a very good chance to get to know each other and see what else you can do together maybe in the future.
Yes, that's right. Thank you very much.
We have a question from Tia-Maria. Would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Sure. I don't think my camera is now on, but I was wondering, kind of, we don't have anything going on at the moment, just to, if you would have any tips, kind of how to get started, that where to find these interested specialists who would like to come to Finland. And I work in the field of culture, so in the field of arts. Thanks.
One good way is actually to take the opportunity and submit an open application for the Fulbright Specialist Program, and allow the World Learning Organization to find a specialist who matches your needs for that specific project. So that's one way to go about it. But then we also, of course, like to connect interested candidates with our Fulbright outreach ambassadors, grantees and alumni of the program who are interested in building networks with institutions. So that's another way that we can help with the partnership building.
Okay.
And I don't know if Marina or Maria wants to share.
Maybe it's also one possibility to, if you know an institution that you are interested to cooperate, maybe you can send a message there or somehow try to search if there's anyone interested. I think Americans use, that is my interest, that they are understanding that they are quite interested in doing this kind of exchanges. so that maybe then that way you can find some people that you can start negotiating and finding if you have shared interests, and they would be willing to start this kind of cooperation and have a visit here.
Thanks for the tips. Great.
Let's see, do we have any other questions?
Katarina, go ahead.
Yeah, me again. Maybe Maria or Marina, you can tell me, or of course Fulbright, when you know about this. Like, how did you get your institutions? How did you convince the institutions to pay all the costs? Because that's something that I might see potential problems with.
Okay, maybe I can start with that, because I also talked about the costs. It is not that bad. I mean, even if I mentioned that we have to convince our administration to pay for that, but it's also giving the international component to the students there, and to understand how to internationalize more. At least in our faculty, we are very much focused on internationalizing everything, all the programs, and then nothing comes without a cost. So you just have to show what the cost is, how much it is, and it's not that bad for this one. So accommodation, meals, and then moving around in the country and picking up at the airport or organizing that. So it's not really a huge cost, but you have to have good reasons for having this specialist there, like we had the project that we wanted to start with.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I agree with Marina, and I could say maybe if you have about 5,000 or less, but you need to have maybe some thousands money budget for, if you think about all costs that are related, like accommodation, then transportation, then the per diem, all the meals, cover those, and then there will be always some social events or something that you need some money. But I have also put some money from my own pocket because it's been always fun. Then there's some good reason to do something fun. But also our dean, every time when I've been saying, okay, we have this idea that we could invite a Fulbright specialist for 6 weeks. Yeah, he said, okay, we can cover it. If you will get the money and the specialist, we will cover it. And so it's been quite nicely going. Maybe also if you have an idea and go and negotiate, I'm sure that they will be very happy for maybe providing that money. I know that budgets are becoming more tight nowadays, but
Yes.
it's really worth of that money, I can say.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you very much.
And maybe in those cases, having another organization who shares your interest, if they'd like to share some of the costs as well, that could be helpful.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about, the co-hosting. Yeah.
And one tip right now, if there is an Arctic angle in your project plan right now, there is some US State Department funding that can be allocated to help cover host organization costs for Arctic projects specifically.
I have one
Any
more.
other questions?
I have just one final one. Another one is you both mentioned how important it is to arrange the social events and involve in family activities, and I know that's the case and it's very important. I know Americans will really appreciate that one, but somehow I see also problems of staff in my faculty hosting guests on their free time. So, I mean, did you do most of the hosting yourself, Maria and Marina, or did people from your institutions, were they eager to join this hosting?
Can I start? It was very much on me first, but there were other people as well. And we kind of have a rule in our department that whoever is the expert in the field that the visitor represents as well, then is responsible for at least some of the social program. But we also have quite a few people who enjoy spending time with international people. And for example, I mentioned the baseball. Then one of my colleagues, who happens to be Austrian, by the way, she is really into Finnish baseball. So she just volunteered. She's invited him. So we also need to look at what people are interested in and then ask them, could you be to the guest? Not everybody is interested, that's for sure, but quite a few people when you ask a little bit.
Yeah, I think we have the same experience that, and it's good to start talking about this part early enough before the visit, so that people are a little bit shy in Finland. I think they're a little bit maybe afraid of so that it needs to be something great, something beyond what you usually do. But in a way to understand that it can be really these small things that we do every day, even going to the grocery store together, it can be like that. So we have enjoyed that because there's a lot of, we can compare what food we have available, what Finns usually eat, or anything, so that we all have a birthday party or anything that now we need to take into account the COVID situation, but in normal situation. And for example, our colleagues or my staff in the unit, and also from HUS, Helsinki University Hospital, they have been very willing to take these specialists for a cup of tea or go to the wards on the hospital, or all kind of things. But then I think it takes a little bit of time that they really see that they can do it, and then start thinking how they can contribute, because it's the best way that they can make personal contacts. It's very important that it won't be just like me who knows that person, but so that they will know, and then they can have more impact to your unit, because the other people, they have ideas and they can start also cooperating, so that you won't be in a way that kind of key person there, but the others can also be more involved.
Thank you very much.
Maybe if I can add something there still, it always also depends on the guest. I mean, like when I talked about what we had arranged, then if that person was not sporty at all, then that would have not worked. So you might need to reconsider, even if you make the plan in advance, and then you realize, oh, no use taking that person into forest. So having kind of backup plan.
And it comes that you need to plan together. I think that comes to it, so that plan together, because then when you learn, and then they don't even can't experience or think about what they can do in Finland, so that they extend it and give this kind of possibilities to and hints what could be done, and then respect what they really want to do, and it won't be just for duty, so that the 6 weeks it will be like a torture of doing things that they don't like.
So you may want to ask them first before signing them up for swamp football, for example. We have 3 more minutes left. Do you have any kind of last questions or comments? I know we have also lots of expertise in the audience there. So if anybody would like to comment?
May I comment if there's any other comments? So Marina, you had the picture of your specialist with our president. I think they always love if you can have your professional journal or anyone to make news of what so they are here. And it's a very good way of creating awareness of something issues that you want to raise an issue. For example, we made about medication safety and need for focusing on that in hospitals, but also like in nursing homes, every place where medicines are used. But use those, and also importance of, for example, education for all healthcare professionals or anything. So use also like use them as that kind of vehicle, but it will be very important for them to see that it is respected also that way, what they are doing.
And I do encourage you to bring it out, spell it out in your application as well, how you plan to distribute the findings or the great benefits of the program. But I truly want to thank you for your active participation today. As a wrap up, I would really like it if you could type in the chat what was the best takeaway from the session today. And also, since this was the first time we experimented with this, also feel free to give us any feedback you would like. And thank you so much, Marina and Maria, for joining us today. The recording and the event have now ended, but Heidi and I are on the line for a little bit longer if there are any additional questions. Thank you so much.